Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi and today we're doing another pick a card. Today's pick a card is a very exciting one because it's a collaboration with Astrology from Source Light Star. We've linked up on Lionsgate portal to do a beautiful collaboration where we are going to tap into more deeper and celestial energies and bring messages through. Before I start, I want to say Astrology is one of the best readers to bring through information from spirit, information from the higher dimensions, let's put it that way. He has some of the most amazing readings with beautiful insight, and if you are into those more celestial starseed kind of readings, I would definitely say to head over and check him out and check out his videos, because the wisdom he brings through and the messages he brings through are so beautiful, and I'm really excited to be able to collaborate. So what I'm going to be doing on my side of the collaboration is I'm going to be bringing through messages from the higher realms, so the higher dimensional realms, the more celestial realms, and it's basically the messages that I want to bring through is to really help you look at maybe an area of your life or wherever spirit feels you need to see things from maybe a higher perspective, or if there's any wisdom you need to hear. That's what I really want to be seeding through and bringing through. And then over on Asta's channel, he's going to be taking a look at the more inner dimensional messages from the earth. That's what he's going to be bringing through for you guys. So I'm really excited to see what comes through. I will have the link to Asta's channel in my description box, and I'm going to add the link to his video in the description box as well. So I have 3 piles for you guys to choose from. Pile number 1 is the amethyst crystal. Let me show you. I hope to be back in my workroom soon, so there'll be more of a light. But yeah, 1 is the amethyst. Number 2 is this little star gem. It's not a crystal, I don't think, but I was really called to use it specifically for pile number 2, so that's what we have for number 2. I tried standing it up, but it kept falling, so I'm just gonna have to put it like that. And then pile number 3, we have the lavender pouch. So see which object you are drawn to. The timestamps are going to be in the description box as usual, and I will see you guys at your timestamp. Hey pile 1, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what messages and guidance that you need to hear right now from the higher realms. Now the way that I've done this is I've tapped into you guys' higher selves, and I basically called onto your energies in its most purest form that the way can come through. You can look at that in any way you want, whether it's your soul origins, your starseed energy. I've really tapped into that to see what information and guidance that your higher selves at that level want to bring through that can help your journey right now, so that you can kind of implement and seed right now. The first thing that I keep wanting to reference, I keep being shown like a stream and water really flowing, and in the song God Is a Woman by Ariana Grande, where she sings it's all in me, there's a reference of that coming through. Like, it's all in me, it's all coming from me, it's all stemming from me. I can create meaning, I can create abundance, I can create it, it's all coming from me. But then there's like friction coming, because it's almost like I sometimes forget that maybe I'll look to other people, or I'll try and chase something. I'll try to let me try and put this into words, what I'm being shown, because it's like this stream and it's coming through really fiercely. And then it's like, it's flowing because I'm in flow with it. But then when I'm trying to swim up the stream, I'm having a hard time. Okay, think of it like this. I'm a fish in a stream. This is what I'm being shown a vision, so bear with me if it's a bit choppy at the beginning. There's a fish in a stream, and the fish is trying to look for the sea, because the intense currents and what's going on in the stream, it's like, oh my god, I need to get to the sea. So instead of going with the flow of the stream and remembering that that fish is part of the ocean and part of the water, and allowing it to become one with the water and allow it to flow. There's an intensity of like, I need to find the sea, I need to find the sea, forgetting that it's already part of the water and part of the sea, and then trying to go against the current and kind of swim upwards against it, and it's struggling and struggling and struggling, and it's forgotten that it's already part of the water and part of the sea anyway. And then all of a sudden it's like the fish is remembering it's part of the water, it's part of the ocean, allows itself to be taken by the current. It realizes while it's being pulled in by the current and it's just surrendered that the stream was making its way to the sea anyway, and then it flows straight into the sea, and it's like nothing was lost. It was all, I was always part of the sea, even when I didn't feel like it, even when I was feeling frustrated, and I should have just listened to that current. So that's kind of what I'm being shown as a visualization to get into this reading, which is quite interesting. I keep hearing How Far I'll Go by Moana. I'm trying to think of the lyrics. You know when she's like singing about the horizon and she like wants to go into the ocean, and it's like a pull, you know, like that pull that she has to get into the ocean, and she doesn't even know why she wants to in that moment, but it's like she finds out on her journey like, oh, I have to restore the heart of Te Fiti, and she like goes into the ocean, but at first she doesn't know why she's doing it. She's just called that, and it's because there's like a pull of her ancestors. She was meant to do it. That's what I'm being shown for some reason. Pile number 1, please, Spirit Guides. Messages from the higher realms for my pile number 1s. Messages from the higher realms for my pile number 1s. We have the Emperor reversed. Messages from the higher realms for my pile number 1s. We have the 10 of Wands and we have the Wheel of Fortune. One more card. Messages from the higher realms for my pile number 1s, please. King of Wands. The back of the deck, we have the 5 of Wands at the back of the deck. Okay, so the Emperor reversed, 10 of Wands, Wheel of Fortune, King of Wands. The strongest message right here is to flow and listen to your internal currents right now. And when all is lost, I'm being told for you guys to tap into your heart space. When things feel like they're crumbling around you and things feel like they're not working out the way that you want to, or you know that you want to go down a certain path, but there's maybe friction, maybe it's your logical mind, maybe it's other people's perceptions being projected onto you, or other people's logic and fears being projected onto you, and you may feel like, I don't know where I'm going, or you may have even felt like you thought you were going down one path, but now you're being directed somewhere else, and it's a bit confusing, and it's like, I don't understand what's going on. You're being called to tap back into your heart space. There's a strong reference that your heart is the key. Your heart is the portal is what I want to say. It's the internal flame. It's the it's your way home, and tapping into your heart space is going to allow you to tap into that energy of flowing, even if right now you may feel a little bit frightened or a little bit scared to do that, because I'm being shown that you know, you may have been working towards a particular goal or a particular career path or a particular type of lifestyle. Like there's almost this feeling of when I wanted to reach this point, but then it's almost like you had your eye on this like specific path and you were like headed towards it and everything may have been going well, and then all of a sudden it's like things were happening that was stopping that path. Like there was a log going in front, there was, you know, a tree that fell, there was, you know, water came from nowhere, and it's like now it's making it difficult for me to get to that path, and I keep being directed down this path, but to go down this path I'm gonna have to tailor everything, and this isn't what I had in mind. And you're looking at it from obviously the 3D perspective, which we all are, so it's like everything's shifting, or it's making it really hard for me to do X, Y, and Z, or now I'm getting really tired and maybe I need to rest, or there's a complete, shift in where I thought I was going. But what you don't see from the higher perspective is the universe is curating to get you maybe somewhere faster, or to bring you somewhere where there's more substance for you. So what's happening is the universe is directing you to a path that is a lot easier for you, that may bring you more wisdom that you need, or you may be taking a little detour before you get there, because there's something else you need to know, or something else that needs to come through, or something that can make you more happier, or give you a different perspective in reaching the goal that you're trying to reach. Think of it like, I like to view this like a castle in the distance, and we have like a direct path, but now we're being sent through the forest and we don't understand why. What you're not seeing from the higher perspective is, right now I feel like the universe is almost shifting you somewhere, or maybe bringing you into a cocoon, or maybe having your focus somewhere else to focus on it, so that you can then have that abundance, or bring what it is that you wanted in. And I feel like right now you maybe you've been in a specific energy for some time, like the swing of a pendulum. Maybe you've been somebody that's in work mode, or go mode, or you've been very focused on maybe the physical, or it could even be that you've been very focused on the higher realms and connected with spirit and downloading, whereas spirit's like, right now we need to swing the pendulum to the other side and shift, so that you can bring this in, so that you can bring that in, so that you can see this through. And when that shift comes in, when that current shifts, it can be very confusing. We can feel like we've lost sense of like maybe a purpose, because it's like that path to go through the forest, I can't see the castle now, and now it looks like I'm going the wrong way. Little do we know that's the detour we needed. Little do we know that there's tools through that little detour that are going to help us even more, that are going to spring us to the front. And you're being called to trust these little detours and trust these little shifts. And when things feel confusing and you're having a hard time surrendering to that shift, you're having a hard time understanding why maybe you need to fall back a sec, why you need to put your energy towards something else for a second, when that feels confusing and you're having a hard time surrendering and falling back into that more feminine energy of receiving and feeling safe and trusting, that's where you're being called to tap into your heart space. Because I keep being shown, you know, in Harry Potter in the Goblet of Fire, if you haven't, I'll explain. They go through this maze, and basically at the end of this maze there's like a trophy, but it ends up like a portkey, like a portal, and when they touch it they get transferred to someone else. So it's almost like the reference in your heart is this portal and this portkey, to stepping into that energy of receiving and really trusting in yourself, even if things feel a little bit confusing. Because with the Emperor reversed, like I keep being shown you like having a plan, and then that plan having like a hole in it, or that plan having like a detour. It's like maybe there was something in that plan that might not have been too stable, and the universe is like, oh, you want the end result, this isn't stable, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on this little thing here before we get there, so it's solidified, so it can last longer. And then while you're having to focus on it, it's like, hang on, this wasn't in the plan. But the universe, spirit guides, your higher selves are like, no, we need to make sure this is focused first. We need to make sure that this, think of it like we're planting seeds. Think of it like we're laying foundations. There's something we need to know. There's something we need to be equipped with before we get there. Or maybe our approach now needs to change, you know? Maybe I'm tired now and I need to rest before I carry on with my journey. And that's why we have the 10 of Wands here, because I usually find this even with myself. When the universe knows that there's like a better path, or the universe knows that or let's just say our higher self knows that, because our higher self knows what we don't a lot of the time. When our higher self knows that there's maybe something better, or there's something that we need, or there needs to be a shift or a shake up in foundations, something is almost taken away or distracted, or something's reversed, something's flipped on its head, something's flipped upside down to make that shift, to make it. And it can feel like taking a leap of faith, or it can feel like jumping off a cliff and having no idea how you're going to land. But it's happening because it's creating that path and bringing you to what it is that is more in alignment with your soul and your heart space. So when these moments feel confusing and you're, you know, trying to float up that stream and it's pushing you forward and you can feel a current taking you somewhere else, allow it to take you. Always allow it to take you. Allow it, just trust that journey. And when you feel confused, tap into your heart space, because your heart space is that key to divine wisdom, and your heart space is that key to being in the energy of receiving and being in alignment with source. Because I feel like you may have had like a structured plan, but I feel like your higher self had a more higher perspective of that plan, and it's like you've been doing what you needed to do in the physical, and now the higher self is like, right, now we're gonna add even more. The way it's kind of, how do I make this make sense? It's like you have it's like you have the GPS, so you have the understanding of where you need to go, like the GPS is given instructions. However, there's just recently been like an accident maybe on the road and you need to be diverted, so it's like your higher self then is like the intuition of like, let's go a different way, let's take a different route, let's move, let's go a different path. That's how I'm being shown. So there's like a shift in the structure that your higher self can see and is making that shift to kind of align you. Or it might not even be a shift in the structure. It's just like, right, now we need to swing to the other end. Now we need a different energy. Maybe now we need to be more logical and focused in the physical. But then our higher mind is like, wait, I want to be in this downloading stage. Wait, what's going on? Or it could be the other way. You want to be physical and moving about and putting logic in, but Spirit's calling you into a state of receiving to take in downloads and bring that through. So it's like your higher self is seeing what you don't see, and when those shifts happen, trust them and tap into your heart space. Because when we don't and we get confused, which is very normal, I do it too, I ask for change all the time, change happens, I freak out, like I do that all the time. It can create this 5 of Wands of feeling stuck, of feeling confused, and that's where we want to allow the current to take us where we need to go. Pile number 1, messages from the higher. Messages from the higher realms for my pile number. Oh wow, we have a beautiful heart here. Great big love. Let me get 2 more cards. Pile number. I'm also being told to say, if you knew you would be supported, what would you do? That's what I'm being shown. Because I also feel like maybe you've been aligning with a shift and a change, and now that shift may be happening, and then there's a feeling of like, oh my god, I don't want to take that leap. You know, I always say leap and the net will appear. It's like I don't want to take that leap, even though I know I've got to take that leap, and what's there is on the other side. So that's what I'm hearing. If you knew you'd be supported, what would you do? Would you start that company? Would you invest in this? Would you invest in yourself? Would you go through that shift? Like, what would you do? Because then there's a reference of, well, you are supported, you know. Very supported. I feel like you have a very strong spirit team around you. I don't know if some of you guys work with Sekhmet. Sekhmet's coming through. If not, she may have some guidance for you if you want to do a meditation connecting to Sekhmet, one of the Egyptian goddesses. Yeah, she's coming through quite strong. Pile number. There's also a female deity coming through, and I'm being shown flowers, but I don't know her name, and I keep seeing the letter J as well. So you'll know if it's for you. Like, I'm being shown a deity. I'm being shown the letter J. I keep being taken to like Greek mythology, but I'm not being given a name. I keep being shown loads of flowers. I'm hearing Artemis as well. Pile number. And Pegasus. So whichever one of them you ring, that rings true to you. They may have messages for you, or they could just be working with you. I feel like this is my pile that has like a specific deity that you work with though. Like that's kind of how it's coming through. Or you may find on your journey you end up working with a specific deity. Pile number 1, please, spirit guides, messages from the higher realms. For my pile number 1s, into me, I see 1 more card, please. Messages from the higher realms for my pile number 1s, exposed and revealed. Back of the deck, we have roots of abundance. That's what I think you're doing right now with Roots of Abundance, to be honest with you. There may be like a detour, or there's something where you're being called to focus on it because it's going to help create that success, or help give you that sturdy bridge to where you want to go. And you may be thinking, oh, I don't really want to focus on that right now, but it's crucial that this foundation has to be set to bring that abundance in. It's like making sure the roots are solid. I don't know if you've had to like maybe spend money on something, or you may need to get your head down with a course, or you may be needing to focus physically. Because when I think of roots, I think of when I always say, when we're channeling from very high heights and bringing messages through from the higher realms, we have to make sure we're super rooted in our physical bodies too, to make sure that those energies land and are grounded. So it could even be that right now you may be being called away from constantly channeling and bringing messages through because you're being called to focus on the physical, whether it's the physical body or making actual moves in the physical right now, whether that's you know, like financially or physically moving, you know, house, car, you know, practical things like that. But it's almost like they're tools that you need to get where you need to go, or they're just going to add that layer in for you. So there's a strong reference of you being called somewhere where it may feel like there's friction right now because you're wanting to stay in a frequency that you're used to and comfortable in, but it's like that swing of the pendulum. But it's taking you where you need to go, because there's no end and beginning. It's just a circle going round and round. You were at the top of the circle, now you're at the bottom and you're moving round. Yeah, why do we have Into Me I See, and then we have Exposed and Revealed? Because with Great Big Love, I almost feel like that's more so coming through as support, and then that reference, if you knew you were supported, what would you do? Into Me I See. You may have fears coming up as well. I keep being shown fears that you may be needing to focus on right now. And when I say focus, I mean just observe and be aware of them. And instead of allowing them to pull you away from your purpose, allow them to kind of like ignite that fire within you. Like respond to them with love is the message. Like I keep being shown like somebody having maybe intrusive thoughts, or what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? What if this happens? What if that goes happen? And it's almost like I'm looking at it and being called to look at it with love, because then it almost alchemizes into something different, where I can use the energy as ammunition. What do we have? Into Me I See, Exposed and Revealed. I don't think right now you may have the big picture, and that's because this is the thing about you guys. You guys are super psychic, and a lot of the times with people that are super psychic, they see a timeline in front of them. When that timeline disappears, it can cause a fear, and it can cause, that's the castle I was seeing, and then I'm being taken down a path where I can't see the castle. Okay. I find people with psychic abilities or psychic foresight, they have a timeline in front of them, or they can see where they're going, so they understand. But the thing is that timelines are always shifting, and when things aren't set in stone and things are shifting and things are evolving, the vision that we have in front of us is actually smudged out or taken away, because that in itself, that timeline in itself, is being transformed. So you are now being taken onto a path of the unknown, or focus on something that's kind of like what feels like a detour, but it's because your pathway there is being shifted and changed to get you maybe there faster, or to make sure that something fully comes in concrete, because maybe that path that you were on before wouldn't have got you where you needed to go, that was in alignment. Especially if you constantly do inner work and shift, your connection to your heart is going to have you aligning with something more true and deeper to your soul. So that path is now being shifted, but you can't see the timeline, which is why we have Into Me I See. When you can't see the timeline, just feel and tap into your inner knowing, that heart space, because then by the next time you look up, Exposed and Revealed, that path is going to be open, and you're going to see why things had to go that way. That's why we have the 2 and the 1 you're adding to 3, which is like Jupiter. It's like expansion. I feel like something's evolving, something's expanding, but right now it may not look like it. Yeah, let's pull your final cards. Final messages for my pile number 1s. I keep being shown somebody falling back into water, because you know they say like bodies sometimes like float. I'm being shown somebody falling back into water and trusting that they're going to float. But for the first minute, it's almost like I'm smacking around and I'm like trying to get my head up. But then it's almost like I'm laying on my back and I'm just allowing the current to take me and I'm floating, you know? That's what I'm being shown. as your guidance, because I feel like something's shifting, and it could just be internally. Like, I'm used to being super connected, but right now I'm called to be focused on logic and the physical mind, and it's like, am I losing my gifts? It's like, you're not losing your gifts. The pendulum's swinging, so you can balance this out now. Maybe you've been in a very like chrysalis state, like you've been in a, I never know how to say that correctly, but like a butterfly cocoon state, you know. Guidance from the higher realms for my pile number. Pile number 1. Ooh, we have freedom. I love these cards. They're like my top 3 favorite cards that I've ever had. 2 more cards, please, Spirit Guides. 2 more cards. Two more cards, please, Spirit Guides. 2 more cards. Messages from the higher realms. Ooh. We have the Soul Star Chakra. Merging with the divine. And then we have pile. Oh, your card fell on the floor. We have harmonic flight. And the back of the deck is internal explorer. Love that. So what's happening right now is I'm being shown somebody like, and again, they're showing me visuals. It's like, I want to grow a flower. I have the, I have all of the equipment to grow this flower. So I grow it, and it's springtime, and it looks really beautiful, and it's blooming. But now it's autumn time, and it's withering. And now it's winter time, and it's just died off, and the rain's coming. And it's like, I just don't understand. Why isn't this flower still blooming? Like, why is the rain gotta come? Why is this pathway there? What's going on? And then it's almost like I'm watching every day and waiting, and then the sun comes back out, it's spring again, and then the flower starts to bloom again. And then it's like, I understand, oh, it went through its cycle, it went through its death and rebirth, it shifted, it evolved. It still grew, but it had to go through that metamorphosis first. The flower's still there though. So there's a reference of that, like, there's something you've been bringing into the physical, or something that's been in full bloom, but there's a change in the water for it to bloom even higher, for it to grow even further, for it to become the best version of itself. Because if that flower still stayed bloomed, it would wilt, it would have holes in it, it would, you know, the rain would just like attack it. It needed to go with the cycles, it needed to fall back, it needed to go into its autumn phase, it needed to go back into the earth to be restored and come back, you know. The winter had to happen for summer to happen, and that's the message here. And that's why you're being called into alignment, because there's a focus or a shift, whether it's you've been in your winter phase and now you're being called into your spring phase to spring into action, or you've been, you know, whichever the case, whichever one aligns with you, you'll know what I'm talking about and which way. It's going to be different for all of you. One thing I will say is that you're very much more supported than you realize, and I feel like Spirit is working with you to bring whatever it is that you wanted to bring in much closer than you realize. And this shift in itself is a direct response of bringing in an answer that you've wanted. It's just the pathway to get there. And that's the reference I'm getting through with freedom, because with the dragonfly, you know, dragonflies connect us to spirit being around us, ancestors being around us, working with us, and the 5 and the 2 adding up to 7, and 7 in numerology is ruled by Neptune. So I think that you get way more downloads than you realize, even when you think it's just like a little thought. Like, you could be being called to fall back and rest, and you're like, but I'm not connected to spirit, or I'm not doing this, or I'm not go, I'm not putting that into motion. All the while it was spirit's divine guidance, like, right, rest back. You know, because maybe energetically you're working through something, or something needs to make its way through, or an energy needs to make its way through to activate you in some sort of way, or you need to watch that movie because there's inspiration that's going to come from it, or you need to sit back and listen to music, because in that creative mindset, new ideas are going to flood through. And you may be like, yeah, but I'm wasting time. But you're not. Trust these little detours, because I feel like you're very divinely guided by spirit right now. And I want to say over the next year is a reference coming through. This next year, there's going to be a lot of shifts and pathways, and a lot that's coming in that it's like I'm evolving. I didn't expect this to happen, but this has happened. I'm being divinely called to go here. I'll put my money into this, and then all of a sudden a daisy blooms or a rose blooms, and it's like, oh my god, that was why, you know. And that's why we have merging with the divine soul star chakra. The soul star chakra is the chakra right above the crown, and that's where a lot of our wisdom comes through, our Akashic records, all of that. And I see that being very bright and guiding you through, even when your logical mind is like, I don't get it. You are being led. You're being called to really trust and feel into that. Why do we have harmonic flight? Why do we have that? Harmonic flight. I want to say what you want wants you. What you want wants you. What you're aligning with is calling to you too. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be feeling the call anyway. Whoever that was for. Or it could be a person. That could be a reference to, because we have two people here. Especially if like you've been trying to align with love and you're being called right now. It's like rest up, or focus on the physical, or just be single but be lighthearted, or even do internal work, whichever one you're being called to do. I see people say, yeah, but I've been doing inner work for a long time. And sometimes the message is, okay, just rest, be lighthearted, chill, allow things to flow. Sometimes it's just that, and being abundant in life just in that way. But yeah, that's a reference. What you want wants you. The back of the deck, we have internal explorer. You're constantly being led. Look at the blues and the purples, and then she's holding that within. You're constantly being led by your heart space, and you're constantly being led by spirit. You need to trust in that. Trust a little more is the message from the higher realms. Yeah, so pile one, I really hope that you guys enjoyed that reading. I hope I was able to put it in to perspective for you in the right way. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are watching. Hit the thumbs up if this resonated for you. I will have the link in the description box to Asta's video and his channel in the description box. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video, and thank you guys for watching. Hey pal 2, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what guidance and messages the higher realms have for you. So the way that I've done this is I've tapped into you guys as higher selves, and you can take that in whichever way. I wanted to tap into your higher selves in the most purest form, meaning your connection that's like closest to source, to bring through these messages. So you can look at that as your soul origins. You can also look at that as, you know, your starseed family, star family, whichever way you like to use that term. But that's what I'm, you know, bringing through guidance from that energy. So you guys chose pile number 2. I almost felt like when I was tapping into you guys, because with the pile number 1, they gave me a message straight away. But with you guys, I almost feel like I'm, even now as I'm speaking, my crown chakra is just getting more open and open and open. And I almost feel like I don't have a body. The way I describe it, like I feel like an octopus. But like, you know, the ones right deep at the bottom of the ocean, and they move in like a really weird way because they have these really long tentacles, and it's just very majestic and graceful. That's the way I feel I move in. It's quite interesting, but I feel very clairsentient, and like I'm attached to everything, and I'm one with everything. There's an emphasis on the feeling, you know, clairsentience. So some of you guys may be clairsentient. I just realized that you guys chose a star as well, and I'm thinking of like starfish and like octopus, and like the hands are the points, and I'm tapped into everything, you know, it's all happening at once, which to me is multi-dimensional, because our soul is you know, when it incarnates, it projects parts of its energy out like a starfish. So I kind of want to say to you guys that the way I want to reference your soul, it's almost like, I want to say like busy beaver, like I don't know why I want to say that, like my hand's in a lot of pies. I'm in a lot of realms right now, experiencing different incarnations. that's literally how I want to like explain it, because it's like the octopus with the tentacles, the stars with the points. I'm in this realm, I'm in this realm, I'm in this realm, experiencing, evolving, growing. I'm in different realms. Veda's here and my cat, and he's come to say hello. But yeah, that's what I'm being shown. And the reason that they're referencing it to you is I feel like your dreams are intense, but also because I keep being shown you having glimpses of like different timelines in your dreams, or like having dreams where you're in a world and things are happening but it's not quite the reality we're in. Or I see you having like really strong messages coming through. It's almost like I'm existing in this reality but in a higher vibration of it, like a higher realm, and I'm feeding information through there. It's really, really interesting. But I just see you guys, sometimes I feel like your lifetimes in other realms kind of bleed into each other. And I think that you guys are the type to experience a lot of deja vu, to have a lot of psychic dreams in this life and in other realms. And like I see you guys living as a completely different person in another realm and then bringing that wisdom through. You know that Billie Eilish song, When We Fall Asleep, Where Do You Go? I would answer, like, for you guys, a lot of places. You're in a lot of realms doing a lot of things. I see you being a spirit guide to people. I see you physically incarnating and going through things. It's very interesting. Very interesting. So let's actually get some cards down. Pile number you're very good at tapping into different frequencies too, because you're a very evolved soul. I think you've had a lot of lives beyond Earth and on Earth. I think that you've tailored yourself to so many different frequencies. You can exist in so many different frequencies and hold your light. So you could have gone through a lot in this lifetime and really purged and cleared, but then returned to your light. And it's because you've got expertise there. Like you've got the qualifications for it, let's say. Like you're able to withstand like that octopus in the deepest parts of the ocean. It's like you're able to go as deep as you need and hold on to that light. You know, when fish right deep at the bottom of the ocean, he may be my water pile where I pick up a lot of water energy. You know, fish deep at the bottom of the ocean, that like, what's the word, like luminous, like they I've forgotten the actual word for it, but they're like different colors, and it's almost like they're glow in the dark. Let's just call it that. They glow in the dark basically, and they've adapted that way because they're deep in the ocean where it's like pitch black. And I almost feel like you're able to adapt to different frequencies and adapt to different well, no matter where you are, because I see you incarnating someone where it's very dense, but you're able to adapt to it and feed information through and hold your light. It's like, don't worry, I'm not going to get lost, and if I do, I'll find my way back. I always do, it's fine, you know? And then it's like, I see you even in this life, like, I'm a third dimensional being. Logic is the way we move here. Like, we're all physical, but it's like, at the same time, yes, I'm a physical being, but I'm channeling things and bringing things through from the 7th dimension, and I'm making sense of it in my brain in a way that I can, but I'm not losing myself. I'm not becoming ungrounded, because I know how to tailor myself and come back home. And I always do. That's just my job. But you know, like, that's how it's coming through, which is really interesting. Yeah. You know those fish underwater and they just become the colour of anything? I feel like you're like that. Pile number... And I think with that, you also know where medicine is needed. And by medicine, I mean... like you're a born healer. You know what to say and when to say it. You know how to help people journey back to themselves. So you could be around somebody that's very angry and very frustrated, but you know the medicine to say or do to have them think or plant a seed to align them with their own internal light or bring themselves back home. You're able to do that. You know what medicine to give where, and you know when to shake it up to give that. You know when to give somebody tough love, but you also know when to soothe someone. You know when to mirror that energy, and I think that you do that a lot. What are them animals called? Like insects or lizards, what are they called? Chameleons? Am I right? Let me know in the comments down below. Chameleons, I'm sure that's it, where they change colour. Pile number 2. I haven't even put a card down there. Let's get a card down. I mean, what your higher self said, who needs cards? Just become it and bring it out and feed it out. Just become it. Who needs the cards? And it's true, because with these readings I very rarely need the cards, but I do want to put them down just as a visual. So let me get them down and I'll continue. Pile 2. Pile number 2, please, Spirit Guides. What messages from the higher realms do my pile number 2s need to hear? We have the 8 of Pentacles, King of Wands, pile number... I heard you're not alone. I don't know how that's going to pertain to the reading yet. We have the 4 of Swords. One more card, please, for guides. 5 of Pentacles. Okay. The back of the deck, you guys have the 7 of Swords. That's really interesting. Pile number 2, please, Spirit Guides. 8 of Pentacles, King of Wands, 4 of Swords, 5 of Pentacles, 7 of Swords. Now this is where we get into it, because I'm being shown an anchor. A lot of ocean symbolism. I do feel like you guys are my water pile. I'm being shown an anchor. And it's almost like you're being called to, in this life, create a home base. Now that you, because I want to say, now that you are establishing the projections that have been placed on you, now that you are clearing out the clutter of other people's perceptions and projections and the pain other people have maybe inflicted onto you, now that you're clearing it away, which is making me think that you've done shadow work and being clear in, because you're very empathic, I would call you an empath. I feel like you've been doing work to take off a cloak of other people's perceptions and what people have projected onto you, because they're referencing it like it's been done and it's happening now, and I'm being told not to focus on that too much because you're already doing it. But now that you're understanding who you are internally, now it's time to root yourself in and anchor yourself in. What do you stand for in this lifetime? What is your mission in this lifetime? What are your shadow traits? What are your light traits? You're actually being called to concrete this in the sense of writing it down, because you guys may have a lot of water or air. You may have a lack of earth in your chart. Don't have to. It's just something that's coming through. You're being called to anchor and root something in. So you're almost being called to get a diary and really write and talk about yourself in this incarnation and what you've learned and who you are, what you stand for and what your mission is. Because the same way that sometimes you may have got swayed by other people projecting onto you or being the medicine for other people, I think that you've also, like I keep being shown your other lives, because it's like the star and it's almost like my energies everywhere. And sometimes it's hard for me to anchor in. So this point that you're at, this incarnation, let's just choose what your incarnation stands as. This star right here. This is why I needed this. I was wondering why I picked this, because it's not actually a crystal, but it's because I needed the star symbolism. This is your incarnation. So to focus and ground that in, you're being called to get a diary and write down all that you are and all that you stand for and what you feel your mission is. Even if it changes in a week, that's fine. Write what it's changed into. But by doing that, it's like I'm focusing on the solar plexus. I'm rooting myself in and who I am, so that when I'm out in the world, the way I naturally move is I'll mirror somebody and I can see where they need medicine and maybe I'll be called to give that to them, or it's like a jellyfish being flung by the tides. It's almost like you'll have a home base to root yourself into, and maybe you're being called to do that right now. It's almost like I'm rooting myself in and I'm grounding myself in, so I know my worthiness and I'm having it stem from me. I know that I begin with love and I end with love, and it stems from me. I know my own current, so I'm not being swept up with everybody else's. I'm attached to my own current and I'm understanding that. And I feel like that's the reference that you're being called to focus on right now, is really solidifying who you are as a person and what you stand for in this lifetime, so that when things feel a little bit because sometimes you can become ungrounded because your energy is everywhere. I feel like that's when you're being called back down to that point of the star. So it's like, this is this life and this is what I'm focusing on. So when people will try and project onto you and be like, you're this, you're that, it's like, actually no. Because with you being shown as a medicine, you may trigger people sometimes by your light or things that you have to say. And I feel like in the past, people have projected onto you and then it's like, oh, maybe I am that, you know? Or maybe being that medicine in earlier life, you self-sacrificed a lot and became what people needed. So it's like, I'm flowing and I'm becoming what people need. However, who am I? What are my needs? So it's like, I'm writing down my needs, what I like, you know? And just doing that, even if it's so little and you may feel like it's so minuscule in terms of the greater picture, because you're always looking at things from the bigger picture, because you're very connected to spirit and the higher realms. It's grounding you into this moment, and it's allowing you to not only be present with yourself, but also stand your ground against the current and bring and seed things through. That's the reference that I'm getting through here, because I think it'll also help you in your connections, because I feel like you are someone that can go to deep depths and align with what people need, but sometimes you forget that you are also a human being that has needs. They deserve to be met, because sometimes you look at things from the higher perspective of, yeah, that person hurt me, but they were going through something, and that's true. But also there is a physical part of it being true of like, I still deserve respect as this human being in this life. And yes, you're going through things, but if you keep continuously hurting me, I'm going to have to retract my energy because I deserve better than this. Or yes, you may not be able to give me what I need and, you know, give me my needs, but that doesn't mean that I have to throw my needs out of the window just to compensate you. I am open to somebody coming in that can meet those needs too, that can swim to those depths too, that can see life the way that I can too, or pour into me the way that I can. Because if I'm feeling deeply and I'm pouring into somebody's cup that, you know, it's overflowing for them, but then they're not filling it for me, and then I feel drained, I deserve somebody to pour into my cup back, and I'm open to that energy coming in. Just because I'm able to be that chameleon, I hope that's the word, and shift, it doesn't mean that I have to continuously do it to keep everybody happy. I need to stand in my own energy and have my needs catered to too. So there's something about you really, because it's almost like you've just currently, there's this feeling of you are reaching or have just reached a milestone where you have taken off so many layers of projections. Now that you are rooting yourself in, get yourself a book that, I'm almost describing this book as my own little altar, and I'm writing things down that make me feel good. I'm writing my needs down. So maybe when I'm in a connection and I need my needs being met, it's like, hang on, these are my needs and they're not being met, or this is what I like, or this is who I am, and you're projecting this onto me, but that's not who I am. And it's going to act as that base to come back to, you know, because we need that base, and that's going to help you root yourself in. Yeah, so let's, because I feel like sometimes with the 7 of Swords, I feel like you've been targeted for your light or your ability to shift. So it's almost like you've gone above and beyond for people and they haven't done it for you. And that's where you're being called to then root in, and that boundary is going to keep that safe, your energy safe, because I feel like you're able to shift and align with so many things. So let's pull some more cards. I want to get deeper. Pile number 2, please, spirit guides. Pile number 2. Yeah, it's almost like I want to bring in practices to help me root into the physical, because sometimes I forget. Sometimes I forget that maybe I'm a human being with a physical body. Maybe you're always channeling, or you're always in your mind. Maybe you're overthinking a lot, or you just see things deeply, so you're always in your mind. It's like I forget sometimes to be present and ground and root. So it's almost like I'm creating a base. You're also being called in the physical to bring things through that remind you of your humanness. Now, what's interesting about you is it's not so much grounding, like, because I could tell you, and you feel similar to myself this way, because when people say to me, how do you ground? I'll go out and root myself in, but you're similar to me, whereas like, say now I go into a forest, and I know you're going to relate, that doesn't necessarily ground me. It makes me feel at one with earth. However, I will see the depth and everything around me and tap into a more higher frequency of the earth around me, and I'll still be channeling. What actually grounds me, I find, is like tapping into my humanness, and I feel like this may help you because it's been a key for me and I'm being told to reference it, so I feel like it will help you. So when I say tapping into my humanness, like watching movies and TV shows that are silly, and watching movies and TV shows that are just fun and inspiring on a human level, you know? Not like movies that make me think deep, like for me that would be like Avatar, Spirited Away, movies like that. I mean like just watching 13 Going on 30 because it's a fun little movie, you know? Watching the SpongeBob movie because it's just inner child. It makes me think of light-hearted things, you know? Going shopping, romanticizing my life, you know? It's autumn, let me go get autumn candles and do little autumn things. It reminds me of the physical reality and it roots me in, you know? And you're being called to tailor little things in that can anchor you in that way, you know? What does this human version of you like? What does this human version of you love? And even if you don't know a minute, play around with it, because there's something about, I'm flipping a page in this book that's like an altar, and I'm like, these are my likes, this is what I like to do, these things bring me joy. And it can be as little as dancing, it can be as simple as going to the gym, little humanly things, you know? And I feel like they're going to ground and root you, and have you enjoy the human experience as well. Because I feel like sometimes the human experience you may be seen as a little bit bleak, and it's like, I just want to be in another realm. But I feel like that's maybe because you've been called here, there and everywhere energetically. And that's where you're being called to root. So I would really definitely, if you can get like a little notepad, it can be as small or big as you want. And you can even like DIY and like get like magazines and cut things out and be like, this is me, this is me, this is my journey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, these are my weaknesses, these are things I'm working on. Yeah, and just all of that. And I feel like it's going to help you, remind you of your humanness and root yourself in, and just remind you of your boundaries. And you know, because then, say now somebody oversteps a boundary, you'll have it so solidified and written down that it's like, hang on, that was a boundary you just overstepped. I need to tell you not to do that, you know? Whereas before, you might not have known your boundaries because you may have just been super open to helping and shifting to what people needed, that you would have sacrificed those boundaries because they weren't concrete. Whereas you're able to put them in and be like, hang on, I wrote that boundary down the other day, that was boundary number 3. I need to tell that person no. And it reminds you of that, you know? Pile number 2, messages from the higher realms for my pile number 2s. We have quiet in the mind. Love that. Quiet in the mind, yeah. Rooting in, bringing things to paper, slowing things down. I feel like your mind can race sometimes. I'm picking up like an air Mercury or an air moon, or just a lot of air in the chart. I'm also being taken to Gemini rising. Some of you guys may be a Gemini rising. You don't have to be, but I'm being shown a lot of Gemini. Pile number... oh god. We have Sacred Reverence. And we have... there's a book as well. We have the Storyteller. That's literally what I was just saying about a book and writing things down, and we have the book. I love when that happens. The back of the deck, we have Endless Possibility. Oh wow, look at the stars. Endless Possibility, and it's the stars on the crown. And now that I'm thinking about it, this deck has stars all over it. Love that. Do they all have stars? I'm just looking through to see. Yeah, I think they all have stars. That's interesting because I wasn't going to use this deck. But last minute it called out to me, which is the same as the star that I picked for you guys' pile. But yeah, the last minute this deck kind of shone out to me. That's probably why. Yeah, you're very, like, for you guys, I just feel like the way you move, you're so connected to the higher realms. It's like no song that just shows up when you're on your way to work shows up by accident. You're being given a message through that song. even if you don't realize it in that moment, later on it's like, oh, that's why that song was playing. I really needed that. Or you didn't just meet that person by accident. Or you didn't just watch that movie at that particular time. Like, I see you going through something and all of a sudden a movie comes out and it explains what you're going through. Or a movie's really calling to you and then you play it and it's like, oh, this is actually guiding me. Like, I relate to this character's story. Like, everything you do is just in alignment constantly. Because when you incarnate, it's like you're becoming something. So it's like it all attracts to you. I feel like Spirit's so strongly around you because you're always moving through like that. And that's why you're being called to, with the storyteller card here, that's why you're being called to root things down. So that that energy coming through has a bridge and a way in to root into the physical. Even though it already does, it's almost like solidifying it, you know? Yeah, quiet in the mind, sacred reverence. And sometimes you may feel, what if I quiet my mind and I just become very immersed in the physical? Will I lose my connection to Spirit? And the answer is no, because with sacred reverence, Spirit's always around you, like the heart and the key. It's like guiding you. It's your answer. So like, even when you are moving about in like a more physical way and you're focused on the physical world, Spirit's still guiding you and showing you that you're there, because it's just a part of you. You're so connected to the higher realms, it seeps in constantly. I'm also being told with the storyteller book thing here to please write your dreams down. For some reason I'm being told, even if it's silly, like a lion flying over a rainbow, write it down. Because you get such strong symbolism in dreams, but I also think that you get worldly psychic predictions in dreams. And do you know what? I need to ask you this. Right, I'm gonna ask you guys this because I get this all the time. And if you have worldly psychic dreams, you may have had the same ones. And I'm not fear-mongering. I know you guys will understand I'm not fear-mongering. I've been having, for the past 3 or 4 years, dreams of like a worldwide tsunami or like huge tsunamis. And at first I was like, maybe, because I like to look at the cryptic symbolism, I was like, maybe it's like the flush of frequencies on Earth. But it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and I've had so many of them where Spirit's like, if you want, I can like talk about them in my community tab, but I've been having dreams where Spirit's literally said to me, or people in the dreams have said to me, oh, this is on a different timeline, but this is happening. And it's like so many tsunami dreams, like I'm not even joking, it's once a month. And it's, some of them are really catastrophic and some of them are so vivid, some of them wake me up. And from my expertise, when I wake up from a dream, there's a message there strong. And like, even when I go into my notes app and I type in tsunami, the amount of dreams of tsunamis I've written down since 2020, there's so many. And one of them said that there was like biblical times coming back in the Great Flood, like Noah's Ark. So I'm just saying that not to frighten. I just want to know if you guys have had those dreams and what you think. Because if you have psychic dreams and you feel like my pile, like I feel like I resonate with you, I want to know if you guys have had the same ones. Because I had one like literally 3 days ago. So I just want to know what you guys are getting from it and what you think it means. Yeah, so I just wanted to write that down. Let me know in the comments if you have had those dreams and what you think. Because I feel like it's interlinked, because I have heard other people have had them. But yeah, the storyteller, you're being called to write your dreams, premonitions, everything down. You're being asked to do that and write them down, or log them. I don't know what log them means. Maybe vlog them. Maybe get them out into the world. Maybe write a blog. Maybe get them on YouTube. Because you got some wisdom that could really be... maybe that's why they're referencing to root into this reality. You're having all of this wisdom, bring it into the physical. Write a book. Put it in a painting. Get it on YouTube. Put it on TikTok. Put it in a vlog. Put it in a blog. I feel like at one point in your life, if you're not already, you'll be called to physically bring this guidance and messages through. Whether you work with Spirit already, wouldn't shock me if you don't already. Because the stars make me think of the soul star chakra above the crown, bringing information through from the Akashic records. But I think, because I'm being shown like Rumi, you know, and Nostradamus, and writing things down and then being shown later on. And there was another one, I think her name was Baba Vanga. I think that was her name. You give me those vibes. There's an urge to write something down or put something out there. You've got things to say. It's like Dolores Cannon, you know? her books are like gold to me. But you're being called to put things down, root things down, even if it sounds to other people like crazy. You know, some of the things I talk about on my channel, I know people will probably look and be like, yeah, okay, she's a bit crazy, but it happens. I put it out, like, it's just the way it is. Pile number 2, guidance from the higher realms for pile number 2. We have Starseed Elemental. I feel like you guys, again with a star, I feel like you guys connect to celestial energy more. I feel like you guys connect to like the starseed term, or I know some people don't like the term starseed, but whatever you want to call it, the celestial energies, you guys connect to it like really strong, like really, really strong. Some of you guys may have some strong Aquarius energy in your chart. Some of you guys may have some strong Pisces energy in your chart. Pile number, water and air for you guys, water and air. Pile number, we have Internal Explorer. One more card, please, Spirit Guides. One more card. Messages from the higher realms for my pile number 2's Life Force Energy. Love that card. That's actually a really pretty card. Let me just show you the back of the deck. What have we got? If I had to literally tell you what your soul looked like, I would say this card. Like, it's all like octopusy at the top, and then all of the information coming through, like downloads, unique gifts. Yeah, the way you look at life is really cool. I want to say that. I think that you get so much beautiful information coming through, and it's like a melting pot of different incarnations and ways of connecting to spirit, all molding together to create this really unique soul coming through, which I love. It's really cool. So yeah, Starseed Element, I feel like you're very aware, or will become very strongly aware, that your soul is just not from here, and very elevated in terms of connecting with spirit because of how long you've been doing it. I even feel like you've incarnated in realms that were even more dense than Earth, and Earth's pretty dense, like not Mother Gaia herself, but the realm we're in, the third dimensional energy, pretty dense. Sure, you're aware. I think you've even incarnated lower than that in a more denser realm, and you've been able to seed energies through and hold a frequency, which is impressive, very beautiful. And with the colors up top, I feel like you've had incarnations way beyond Earth. Like, I feel like you've had a lot, and I feel like it all feeds through, because I feel like sometimes you'll have dreams where your logical brain will make it out like you were a human in that dream and moving on Earth, but there's something weird or different about it, and it's because you were elsewhere. But the logical brain is like, oh yeah, I was a human, and you know, but it's, I don't know why I keep hearing Norway. I don't know if someone's from Norway. I keep hearing that. Internal Explorer. I feel like your inner world is very colourful. I think that you get some beautiful wisdom. This is why you're being called to pass that through or put that out. Like I said, with a book, with a storyteller. Even if it's not in like, oh, I'm bringing this wisdom through. It could even be like creating a movie, creating a book, like that aligns with it. Like Avatar, you know, when you watch Avatar, it's very real, you know. Okay, Pandora, the place might not be real, but it's based off of, you know, when you really look at it, and you'll know what I mean. Like, that connection to Awa is human beings' connection to Mother Gaia. We just don't see, you know, we can't see it because we've lost that connection. Still there. You know, and I feel like you're the type to be able to make movies like that, or make books and stories like that help people connect to that, you know. Why do we have Life Force Energy? Why do we have Life Force Energy? See the earth and then all the wisdom around. I think you're here to really seed and root information through in this life. I think you're really here to root into your physical body and harness the energy coming through. With the dolphins here, I'm thinking of the Pleiades, and I'm thinking of Atlantis, and then I don't know why with the mountain at the top, I'm thinking of Hawaii, and I'm thinking of, whenever I think of those regions, I think of Lemuria. So you may have a lot of wisdom connected to Lemuria, and maybe have dreams and past life memories come through of Lemuria, or Earth in a higher vibration, let's just put it that way. You've got a really cool brain, pal, too, and I think that you have a lot to say and a lot of wisdom to bring through, and I think you're very needed in what you have to see, dear, and that's the message I have for you. So I really hope you enjoyed the reading, pal, too. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if you did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching. Hey pal 4, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what guidance and messages the higher realms have for you. What I mean by that is I have tapped into you guys' higher selves, and I set the intention to tap into your higher selves in their purest form. So you can take a look at that in the sense of your soul origins, your connection that is most closest to the God source, your starseed, family and energies. That's what I'm really tapping into to bring these messages through. That's where the wisdom's coming through. Now, I actually had a false start with you guys' pile. Sometimes that happens. I'll have a false start, and it's either because different messages coming through or I need to know something. But what happened with you guys was your guides are very, very, very protective over you. Very protective, and I want you to know that. I don't know whether it's part of your mission or you just came here with a lot of protection. Maybe you guys work with spirit a lot, and you connect to spirit a lot, so because of that there's a lot of guides around you. I was being taken at first to Lyran energies, like Lyran beings, like Vega and Lyran beings, and then I very quickly was taken to Syrian energy, and I sensed like a really strong connection to Egypt. I almost felt like I was like on the River Nile, and I was just in what felt like ancient Egypt, it felt like. And then I was shown Anubis, which is god of the underworld. He's an Egyptian god. If you don't already work with him, it could be that you worked with him in a past life and he's just coming through as protection. But that was something that came through. I think that you guys are very, very protected, and it was almost like, because I almost was being shown like my own memories being shown to me, and it was almost like I was being scanned, like my whole life story, higher self, it was almost being scanned, it felt like, and I could feel it in my energy of like, can this person bring through these messages, can this person not, like, do we want this person to bring through these messages, why these messages, what's going on. And then I was almost like given access, and I was being told start again, just say the story but start again. And I want to say as well, you may find sometimes with psychics, or you'll go to somebody for a reading, or you'll even like stepping towards friendships or connections, like some people might not like you and you don't understand why, and I kept hearing access denied, you're not coming in too close. Or you may find that you have a hard time, like you can open up to people easily, but then sometimes you've maybe wanted to open up to somebody but had a hard time doing it, or had a hard time being vulnerable, and it's because that person may not have had the best motives for you. And it's almost like this energy of like access denied. No, they're not to come through, because that it's I'm being shown like deception, like they're being deceiving. They can't have access to this energy because they're going to misuse it, they're going to mishandle it, they're not going to respect it. Access denied, no thank you. So you may find that with people, but also maybe with psychics, it's like maybe they'll feel like, and not that I'm saying there's something wrong with like certain psychics, it's just that there may be a certain way that information needs to come through. And I feel like your guides are very selective of who's opening up to your energy, attaching to your energy, connecting to your energy, giving you guidance from them. It's like you may find that you only have like a certain couple of readers you go to, or like sometimes you just can't align with energies, and it doesn't make that person or that energy wrong. It's just that there's a very selective energy, because I feel like the way I'm looking at your mission and the way that you move, and it's like everything's tailored. I need this in my life. This is the type of person I need in my life. This is the type of person that's going to help me grow. This is happening. Like everything's very divinely orchestrated and tailored with you. It's quite interesting. But let's get some cards out and see. So pile number 3. your soul and higher self, I feel, is quite stubborn, and I think that your soul, I'm not gonna lie, like there's this feeling of like, if I'm gonna incarnate on earth, these are my requirements, this is what I need, this is how I'm gonna move, this is my mission, this is what I need to do. It's very black and white, and it's like, this is what I'm bringing through. I do not have time for X, Y, and Z. I do not have time for this. So it's almost like your guides are like, okay, loud and clear, we'll make sure that this doesn't get in your way, or this doesn't happen, or this doesn't happen. No worries. And your higher self's like, cool. Because I've got to get my head down. I've got to focus on this. I've got to work through this. I've got to be in alignment with this. And I don't need anything distracting me, anything pulling me off it. And I feel like your guides are like, it's almost like holding my word, like, okay, cool. Very protective then, you know. Pile number 3, you've had lots of lifetimes in bringing and seeding through information, because it was the last starseed reading I did, which actually was around about August time last year. It wasn't the last celestial one, but it was the last starseed one, and I was talking about how you can root yourself, and there was one particular pile where I was being shown like Syrian beings, and it was like, okay, we're gonna incarnate on earth, and it was like ancient Egyptian times, and then they were like, I was being shown in Sirius B pyramids, but they almost looked glass, and then it was like I was incarnating on earth and bringing the wisdom of how we built those pyramids and how it all worked and feeding it into earth. So that's when the pyramids were being born. And it was almost like I was creating, and it doesn't just have to be Egypt, but there was a strong reference to Egypt, because I know they were built along the line of Orion's belt. So it's like, we're creating this structure here so we can seed and bring that information through. So we can seed and bring that energy through. And I feel like you would have had a play in that in your earlier incarnations, Pal 3. Because I think that you are strongly like crown chakra, third eye opened, can see timelines, can bring information through, bring downloads through, even bring frequencies through. So maybe Reiki healers, shamanic healers, you're able to bring frequencies through, which is quite interesting. You work with fire really well is something I'm being told. I'm seeing herbs being burnt and then sending that energy through. I almost feel like that's how in the past you would have harnessed things to root into the physical. I'm taking the frequency of earth, I'm seeding energy from higher realms through my own energetic frequency, and the bridge is the fire, alchemy, and it's burning and it's all solidifying and coming together. So if you ever want to manifest anything in or bring something in, and I'm being told use it wisely, fire helps as the bridge and burning something connected to the earth and bringing that energy through. Even like lighting a candle is like I'm setting an intention of something. Quite interesting. Pile number, I haven't laid any cards yet. Pile number 3. What guidance and messages do pile number 3's higher selves from the highest realms have to say? 2 of Wands, King of Swords. I'm hearing Angel, Halle Bailey's new song. She sings, angels make a way somehow, and when they fall on clouds. That's the lyrics. It's a really beautiful song. She only released it on Friday, but it's a very, very lovely song, and I'm hearing it. I don't know if you've been listening to it too, and that's why it's coming through. Pile number 3, messages from higher realms, 10 of Cups. Back of the deck we have the Empress, 2 of Wands, King of Swords, Page of Cups, 10 of Cups. Okay. Anything you do in this life, I feel is going to be connected to activating and bringing information through. Similar to pile number 2, but I feel like yours is quite different, because when we bring something through and we activate something, and I was saying to pile number 2, it doesn't always have to be in the spiritual side of it. It can be like through movies and art, but for you guys, I think you're meant to be here working with energies. And even when I'm thinking of like Anubis, like he's a god of the underworld. I feel like you guys are strong mediumships, clairvoyant, psychics, and I feel like you're here to act as that. Like this is like high priest, high priestess energy. And this reading's always making me just want to let you know how gifted you are in that realm. And I keep being shown like protection. Like, I don't know if maybe you're scared to bring these gifts out, or it's like, how could I make a career out of it? Because Harley's song, she sings, angels make a way somehow. It could even be, I'm seeing somebody and it's like I'm in a room and I literally have nothing that would connect me to this. So for example, like, you could have grown up, you know, maybe with a family that was very religious and they didn't believe in that, and you couldn't have the tarot cards and you couldn't have the candles, and you may not have grown up with all of the wisdom around you. Like, you didn't have the books, you didn't have the money to get the books, you didn't have the herbs, and maybe right now you don't either. You don't need it though. And this is a reference from spirit. The wisdom you have from past lives, all you ever needed was your internal energy anyway. All you need is a candle in front of you and you can manifest something and bring something in. All you need is to watch a flame dance in front of you and you're getting visions. You're very good at what you do in regards to psychic abilities. You do not need the glitz and the glam and, you know, the different decks and you may not even need decks, because I don't even feel like you need decks. Like, I feel like you're the type that, you know, I see like a bowl of water in front of me and I'm scrying with water and I'm bringing messages through with the bowl of water. The flame is dancing in front of me and I'm able to bring information through from that. Somebody just handed me an object and all of a sudden the person that was attached to that in life is coming through and I'm able to bring the messages through because I understand energy and I didn't learn it from a book. It's already within me, you know. And that's more so the message that's coming through from your spirit guides. You have a lot of wisdom within, and I think that you are very talented in these abilities, or something that you're drawn to or connecting to, but you're like, I'm not the best at it. You are very good at it. You were like sought after for it in other lifetimes, sought after for your wisdom in other lifetimes. Like, you could just be starting astrology and you don't know too much about it, and you may be thinking, oh well, I'm an amateur, but like, there could be books from like 200 years ago that you wrote. You know, you brought the wisdom through and it's like, you wrote the book, like, you've mastered it, you're just remembering it in this lifetime. And that's a strong reference coming through here, because with the Page of Cups here, I'm thinking of like that new energy, that fresh energy, and you may be new to something in this lifetime. You may just be starting up something in this lifetime. But with the 10 of Cups, it's like, you already have so much behind you. You already have so much credentials behind you spiritually. And there's almost this feeling of like surrendering to where spirit, why do I want to say this, like where spirit needs you to go. Because with the Two of Wands, I'm thinking of like jumping from one to another. Like, I'm being shown like something over the horizon and I need to get there. But then with the King of Swords, it's like I'm bringing through information. I'm activating parts of myself. I may be undergoing a dark night of the soul. I may be undergoing... This is really interesting what I'm being shown. You've been through some experiences in this lifetime that may look very earthy, but they were teaching you something full of wisdom. Like, you could have had a very, very chaotic childhood. You could have seen some dark things, but I see you gaining wisdom from it and understanding it. And it's like your mind is pulling. It's almost like I'm growing. Your mind is allowing tower moments within your internal world. And it's almost like I'm learning and I'm evolving from it and I'm gaining wisdom from it. And I'm then able to bring that through. This is really, really interesting what I'm being shown. Like, I keep being shown you guys like looking into a darkness. Like, think of like 8th house energy. Facing a fear, dealing with the shadow. Like, you guys could have gone through a lot of ego deaths. You guys could have gone through a lot of transmutations. You guys could have gone through a lot of tower moments. You could have met your own darkness and gone through it. But it's like, there's wisdom being gained from that. because then I'm being taken to the Page of Cups, and it's almost like adding that to my credentials. But it's like I'm already, well, because I keep seeing like an earlier life where I'm not as quote unquote connected to spirit, but what I was going through in my earlier life, I was gaining wisdom from. I needed to learn that wisdom first because it's going to help me in this life. And then it's like once I've gone through that, there's almost like a collapse of what feels like timelines, or like an ego death or a shift or an awakening, and then all of this information starts flooding through, and now I feel like I'm an amateur, and now I feel like I don't really know what I'm doing, or I feel like I'm a beginner at this and people are more advanced and they have all of the glitz and the glam. But like I've been preparing for this for lifetimes. I was reading the stars before we were putting it in books. I was connecting with spirit as, you know, a full-time job in my past life, and it's like now you're being directed there so you can bring that through. Like I feel like you guys are my mystics, you guys are my sages, you guys are my like I said, high priest, high priestesses, and I think that you guys have a lot of karmic memories and a lot of wisdom, and things just come to you naturally. That kid outside scared me then. I don't know what they made that noise for. That really frightened me. But I feel like things just come naturally to you, and I feel like you're being called to look inside for your internal flame and your internal light. Spirit keep referencing the light inside as the internal flame at the moment to me, but you're being called to look at yourself for guidance and look inward for guidance, because I think that the wisdom that you have within your soul, I feel like it's something that you just couldn't pick up from a book. You've experienced it, and it's almost like, yes, you can take wisdom from people, yes, you can get inspired by people, yes, you can read books and understand and add to the knowledge that you have, but you have sacred knowledge within, and you're being called to tap into that. And I think that's why spirit was almost like checking me, like your team was almost checking me before I brought these messages through, because I think that the way you look at life is very needed, and the way you bring messages through and the way you connect to spirit is very needed. And I think your guides almost feel very protective of the way in which you're influenced. And if anything's taken you away from yourself, it's almost like no. Like they're going to bring it through in a different way, or they're not going to bring it through right, or they may take them away, you know, or project something into the reading, or they may, because that's how it felt. It's like, I don't want you projecting anything into this reading. I don't want you taking them away from their purpose or what they can get within. So it's almost like I'm checking you to make sure that you're bringing this through and that's it, and not adding your traits in that may prohibit this person from bringing through what they need, you know? So it's like very tailored. And I think you may find, like, even with pick a cards, you'll only watch certain pick a cards that jump out to you because there's messages that can come through. You won't just go and watch a bunch of pick a cards, or if you do, they might just not align with you because it's like tailored information coming through, and that because your guide was almost scanning, like, let me just check. let me check, because the reference that they're bringing through is you have so much wisdom within, and you can do more with like a glass of water, you know, than you ever could with a bunch of cards, because it's not the tools, it's you. And this wisdom that you have, maybe you've been pushed away from books and things in life. I had that a lot of my journey when I started. I was young, I was like 14, 13 when I started to connect with spirit, and I didn't have the internet, so I didn't have books, and I didn't have the internet to tell me this and that, and spirituality wasn't big. I just had my mind and I just used to sit there and channel with spirit, and I didn't even know if what I was getting was true, but I just trusted it. And I think that may be part of your journey too, because I think that maybe the reason you've had maybe certain practices hidden from you, or things not readily open to you, is something that you needed to activate within yourself and bring through, so that you had that substance first, that foundation first, before you brought through messages from other people, so you knew your truth first, which is quite interesting. But there's something that, there's a lot of things you're quite a bit of an expert at, but it's your own way of being an expert at it, and you may sometimes feel a little bit like, I'm not as good as this person, or I shouldn't be bringing through these messages, but you're being placed in that position for a reason, because that's where your soul incarnated. I hope this is all making sense. Spirit's like, it will. Because I'm like, is this gonna make sense? And like, yeah, it will. It will. We have the Empress at the back of the deck. I've got more cards to pull now, but we have the Empress at the back of the deck. I think that when you activate and align with your divine feminine energy, in that state of receiving and trusting, I almost feel like accelerated, like I'm falling into alignment, bringing in information, and because I see a lot of spirits around you that worked with you in past lives, deities that worked with you in past lives, souls that crossed over but you still work with them, and then they're still working with you in this life. Like, it's not even like a spirit team, feels like an army. I keep being shown, you know, in China where they found all of those statues, I'm sure it was in China, there was like, they found this, like, I can't remember if it was underground or not, but there was just a row of statues. That's what I'm being shown as well. You may be very connected to like ancient China as well. I'm like, hotspots I'm being taken to is Egypt, and then Asia, and then I'm here in Southeast Asia. That's where I'm being taken. Let me just we have a grand symphony. Yeah, like ancient times, like ancient China, or just Asia in general, but it's like ancient. And I'm bringing wisdom through, and I'm connecting to deities there. And then again, it's like Egypt, like bringing wisdom through, bringing guidance there. It's quite interesting. Pile number, and you have wisdom to bring through and karmic memories. It's almost like I'm activating that frequency again, harnessing it on Earth again. It's been forgotten. I'm bringing it through because I remember it. A machine. Looks like a time machine because there's numbers on it. Pile number 3. Yours wide open. Some of you guys are clairaudient. It's 33 up there, and then we have 3 there as well. So the number 3 or 333 may be a significant number for some of you guys. And then the back of the deck, we have close encounters at the back of the deck. Okay, so a grand symphony. Spirits, you're here in this life to work with spirit, even when it's felt like you haven't been, because I see you guys going through some things, like human wise, like just going through maybe you were working through karmic lessons, or you were clearing something, you know, ancestrally, or you were gaining wisdom. It's almost like spirit's been around you, and then even when you felt like spirit wasn't around you, they were. And even if like before you opened up to spirit, that earlier part of your life, even if you weren't as connected to spirit and you're like, yeah, but I wasn't connected with spirit all my life, and some people were connected with spirit when they were like 3, that doesn't matter. Sometimes we'll have a veil over us because we need to focus on something from a human perspective, and then that veil shifts, then that awakening happens, you know. And that's what's being referenced here, because I keep seeing somebody saying, but it's only happened recently. Yeah, because it's time. Maybe you incarnated with a family that weren't connected to spirit, so when you incarnated, that was shut. And even though you may have had some experiences, it was for the most part shut because you needed to work your way up to something. You needed to establish something inwardly before you opened up to that frequency. That was the purpose. It doesn't mean you're any less connected. There was a path and a purpose, because even there's souls walking around on Earth, they'll never connect really to spirit like that in this life. They'll never make it a job. They'll probably denounce it. It doesn't mean that they're any less connected to spirit. Their soul could have chosen to be that way their whole life, because if they were connected to spirit, it wouldn't have them look through the lens of something they needed to look through to advance on Earth. Like, they could be making developments in regards to science, but they needed to be that ground rooted perspective where science is the only answer. And it doesn't mean that they're wrong. That's the needle, that's the point of view that they needed to walk through life with, to bring that one layer through. And then people next to them could be making the bridge, and then the person next to them will just be making that spiritual connection. It's all part of a cause, but I feel like there was a switch with you and it was always meant to be that way, because you wanted to learn something or understand something and being shown. But you were always connected even then, because I see spirit around you even then, bringing information through when you thought maybe it was just a coincidence. Why do we have time machine? I feel like you're here to code and bring information through from past times, Lemurian times, Atlantis times, you know, guidance. Atlantis really rung a bell there, and I know there was a lot of Syrian energy, because even with Atlantis, when I was shown when souls were building like the Egyptian pyramids and connecting to Sirius energy, the same pyramids were in Atlantis and they were, you know, bringing them through. So I feel like you've got a lot of wisdom and guidance to bring through from those realms and seed it through, and activate that within people as well. But with yours wide open, I'm just picking up clairaudience there, because I feel like spirit whisper a lot of directions to you and whisper a lot of guidance to you. Yeah. I don't know why I'm looking at the messages coming through as like choppy, but spirit's like, this is the way it needs to come through, which is, that's the way they wanted to bring through. I think it's more so me just thinking, is this making sense? Is this a little bit choppy? But spirit's like, no, this is the guidance that needed to come through. In this order, just like this. That's how they're like referencing it. Don't question it. I'm like, okay. Sometimes I get a bit like, is this gonna make sense? Pile number 3. Guidance from the higher realms for my pile number 3s. Some of you made music in a past life. I see somebody making music and then creating like a symphony, which we actually have symphony here, like making like a symphony of, it's almost like I'm hearing with that ears wide open angelic sounds, and then I'm bringing them into the physical and feeding them through music. Pile number 3, we have Beyond the Mind. 2 more cards, please, spirit guides. We have Furred and Feathered Friends. I love that card. I just love this deck in general. Pile number 3, please, spirit guides. Home. And the back of the deck we have Surrender. Okay. Beyond the Mind, Furred and Feathered Friends, and Home. So Beyond the Mind is I feel your soul does not take connecting to spirit lightly, like in this lifetime, like the way you do it. And I think that's why you were shut off at times, maybe to spirit, or you were shut off from maybe aligning with it, or you were going through other things and you were disconnected, because it's like, I need to be in a certain frequency to bring what I'm bringing through. Like, if I'm gonna bridge and I'm gonna connect to spirit and I'm gonna bring these messages through, this isn't play to me, this isn't a joke to me. Like, I see somebody going into the pyramids, taking their headgear off, opening up, when it's done, closing down. It's almost like I'm, what's the automatic writing? My eyes are shut and I'm writing, and then when I'm done, I'm respecting, I'm saying thanks, I'm giving gratitude, I'm giving an offering, and then I'm putting the headgear back on, and I'm coming back to my humanness. I don't take this lightly. And that's why you're being called, you know, with what you're doing. It's like, I don't need a whole lot, as long as what I'm doing is sacred. As long as, you know, I just can have a white candle in front of me, but that's sacred. That is sacred to me. you know? Like, I see you having like maybe like one deck, but that deck is sacred. It's like I'm holding on to this because it's like, I need to bring this through. This is what I'm doing this for. This is what I need to bring through. Because there's something about you being like a sage or a mystic, or you've got things to say, you've got things to bring through, you've got guidance to bring through. Maybe somebody's guides need to bring it through. I don't know why that I'm thinking of do you know Long Island Medium, if you've ever watched it? She's from, well, Long Island, and she's so direct, and like spirit will just come to her. She's a medium, and obviously it's Long Island Medium. Long Island Medium, she's from Long Island and she's a medium, of course, but yeah, she's a medium, and she brings through like information. She'll just be like getting a sandwich and it's like spirits through, and she's like, right, and she's so straight with it and brings it through. That's kind of what I'm being shown. Everything's sacred to your soul. That's why you, like, even going through experiences where you were maybe seeing a lot of darkness, is like, this is sacred to me. I need to experience it in this way if I'm going to clear it. That experience is sacred to me. This is sacred to me. Where I live, everything in your life, even where you live, like, this is what I mean. Your soul's like, I'm coming through like this. These are the set of experiences I'm having. These are the type of connections I'm having. This is where I'm living. I need this. I need this. You could be living like somewhere where it's sunny all the time because you need the light codes. You need the activation from the sun. This is the thing. What looks like tools that people need when they begin certain things, you don't need, because it's like what you had around you is what you needed. I want what I need and nothing else. I don't want shortcuts. I want what I need and nothing else. You may have needed to root yourself and ground yourself in. You needed to be by the earth. You needed to be by the trees. You needed the fields. Maybe you grew up around animals. Maybe you grew up on a farm. Maybe you grew up, you know, looking after animals. You needed that connection, because that's why we have furred and feathered friends, because even the animals you bring in, they have a message, they have a guidance. That bird didn't just fly into your house for no reason. That spider didn't just fall on your lap for no reason. You didn't just get that cat for no reason. It's guidance, their guides, their messages coming through. You didn't just decide to relocate by the ocean, or you didn't just grow up by the ocean for no reason. You're connected to the water spirits. There's wisdom in the water. You needed that cleansing. You needed that clearing. You needed to bring those messages through, and so on and so on. Everything's tailored. So it may not look like, oh, but I don't have X, Y, and Z. No, but you had A, B, and C. You know? It's really, really interesting. I even see somebody with like a black obsidian like mirror and bringing messages through that. It's like everything's positioned where it needs to be for you to make use of it. Like, there's something very strict about the energy and how you chose to incarnate. And I don't know why that's the message, but I'm being told that's what I need to bring through. And then we've got home, and she's literally pointing to her heart space in the star. Which is like a direct reference of like, your home is not on earth. It's in your heart space. You're from the stars. And look at all the eyes in the bubbles watching. It's like your guides. Like, yep, that's where you're from. And the 3 and the 1 adding up to the number 4 as well. I'm thinking of the 4th house, the home, the mother. So why do we have the card home as well? I think you're here to harness and bring messages and guidance through from your Akashic records, but like your own soul's origin, like that star energy, those celestial frequencies. I think you're meant to bring energies through from there. And I also seeing you bringing energies through from the underworld, like shadow realms that people would be even too scared to connect with. It's like, well, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Like Ghostbusters, you know. I think everything that you do has a purpose, because you are because you are the tool. You are the vessel. You are the tool. You're the one getting yourself from A to B. I keep hearing it was always you. It was always you. It was always you. And they're being very selective with how I'm explaining that, because to me I'm a little bit like, this is confusing me, but they're like, no, say it like this. Don't question it. Just bring it through like this. And then I almost just want you to look at this card and bring through what you need from this card to end the reading. Where she's pointing, the heart, the eyes, everything. It's almost like just show the card now. I don't know what that's about. Very specific. Pause if you need to bring a message through from it. Yeah, very to the point. And now I'm hearing clapping, like, okay, wrap it up. We're done. That's it. That's all for today. So first off, I just want to say thank you to y'all guys, because y'all guys were so strongly, I'm here. So thank you for allowing me to bring these messages through. I can see it's strict. I don't take that lightly. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning into this reading as well. So thank you to your higher self and your guys as well. I really hope I was able to bring the messages through in the right way. I really hope that this reading aligned with you. If it did, hit the thumbs up, comment down below, let me know. Yeah, I hope you guys have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are watching. I feel like a head teacher and there's like a person in the corner like watching, making sure I'm like doing my job. That's literally how it feels, but it's like all love and it's like really beautiful. You're so protected. So protected. I really want you to know that. Very protected. Don't worry. I'm being told to say as well, don't worry about, because I keep being shown somebody trying to chuck something at you and it's boomeranging back to them. So it's like, don't worry about that. If someone's trying to chuck energies at you, don't worry about that. It'll boomerang back. So protected. And even your higher self is like, try it. Don't even, I wouldn't even bother. Like, that's how it's coming through. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the reading. I'm gonna have the link to Asta's channel in the description box if you want to head over there as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching.